video, we're going to look at editing our vegetables so that we can pull out our pumpkin, our corn, and our radish. So the first thing I'm going to do is use cutout to just kind of go around and make it so that we've got rid of most of these extraneous vegetables we don't need. And just as a quick reminder, remember that when we use the cutout tool, it doesn't actually get rid of any of the data. So we could always add things back in if you decided that your particular vegetable poster needed some different veg instead. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure that we've got the image layer selected for our vegetables, and then we're going to go ahead and click on cutout, and again we'll be put into our smart cutout, which automatically defaults to add. So I could do that to just select my pumpkin, my corn, and my radish, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys subtract again. So I'm going to change to subtract, and then I'm going to go ahead and select the parts that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to erase with my fingers, most of the rest of the stuff. Now it will then kind of show you a bounding box for what's left. So if you miss anything, when you hit the check mark and it processes it, you'll kind of get a sense because of the size that it puts it at. So done, go ahead and click check. And you'll notice there, I've missed a piece up in this corner. And you can tell that because the box, instead of snapping to being this size, has got that little corner still in it. So I can go ahead and click on cutout again in order to go and get that corner. Make sure I go back to subtract, otherwise it's going to add stuff back in, and then go ahead and get that corner. And I can zoom in using my fingers to see it a little bit better, but you can see now it's just the pieces that we want to be looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that, because I'm going to want to have my pumpkin separate from my corn, separate from my radish. So I'm going to go ahead and make 3 copies by clicking duplicate, so that I can go ahead and I'm going to move them so that I can see them separate. I'm going to click on the layer over here in order to know which one I've got, and I'm going to go ahead and select out just the part that I want to be looking at. So I'm going to zoom in, and I can just use my normal pinch and zoom features that we use with our phones, with our fingers, to go ahead and zoom in on the area that I'm looking at. So I want to work on my pumpkin here, make sure I go back to subtract, and you can see that as I start going around, it's pretty smart in terms of where there's areas of high contrast, and this is where it's great that this has got just a plain white background. Where there's high contrast, like there is between the edges here of my pumpkin and the white, it's going to go ahead and realize that I want to get rid of that, and it kind of snaps very smartly around it. Now you notice I've still got a little bit of the squash right here that I'll have to go in and get, but and again I'm just going to zoom in so that I make sure I get the squash and not my pumpkin. And now the pumpkin's cut out pretty well, so I can go over and just make sure I get rid of my corn and my radish, and again you'll notice I'll need to go in, clean up, make sure I get all those little bits. I don't want those pickles either, or any of this zucchini. Okay, my pumpkin's good. Moving on to our radish layer, I'm just going to click on that guy, and we are going to want to do the same thing for our radish, and then we'll do the same thing for our corn. So you can see here, clicked on my radish. I'm going to go ahead, click on cutout. I'm going to go make sure I'm still in smart, make sure that I hit subtract. I'm going to go in and kind of go around and rough out the parts of the radish around here, get rid of my cucumbers, and again, using pinch and zoom, I can move over, get rid of the corn, get rid of my pumpkin, leeks, butternut squash. I'm going to zoom in, make sure that I got rid of that little bit of the, oops, I missed a little bit of my cucumber, so I'm going to make sure, go back in, see what it is that I missed. Oops, I forgot to change it from addition to subtract. Okay, make sure I go in, subtract, erase that stuff out. Then I need to make sure, okay, yeah, now we're just the radish, and that's what we're looking for. And we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing for our corn. Ahead, click cutout, make sure we're on subtract and in smart, and then we're gonna wanna go around the edges of this corn. Now, as we go around, get rid of the stuff, same as last time, one of the things that we're going to do with the corn is zoom in and just make sure that we get rid of these little white pieces that are kind of in between the, the leaves of the husk, however you want to call that. So I'm going to zoom in, and it's real quick. You can see The checkerboard pattern means that something's clear, that it's transparent, you can see through it. But right here, you still have the solid white. So again, it's going to depend on how good the contrast is between the edge here and your color, but here we're going to be able to pull out that background. The radish gets a little too fine, so I've left a little bit of the white in between the leaves of the radish, but in here I'm going to be able to go and pull out inside the corn. So part of it is trial and error, see what works for your piece. You can see I left a little piece there. I'm gonna zoom in on my corn and just kind of clean up the little piece there that I need to erase. So just don't mind me, I'm kind of just zooming in so that I can see it a little bit better. Oh yeah, I can see the top there, there's some pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just clean this up a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do, and to just wrap up this video before we get into the next, is I'm just gonna rotate my pieces so that they're kind of oriented in the right way. I'm just gonna go in and clean up that little edge there that I left. So I want to make sure everybody's oriented the right way and start to kind of pop things in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn my radish. Thanks for the helpful tip there, Adobe. And then in the next video, we're gonna go ahead and start from once I've, turned my radish here. Again, sometimes zooming and turning are hard to differentiate. I'm gonna pop them in the corner, and then we'll start from there, actually assembling the pieces into kind of what we want them to look like, and again, getting them in a position that we want them to be. So I'm just gonna turn my corn. Yep, I'm gonna have my corn, I'm gonna have my pumpkins, I'm gonna have my radish, and then we're gonna work all these guys together in the next video to assemble all the pieces.